I think we live. I think we are live on Facebook and Instagram. All right, let me turn on this here camera over here. Happy Monday. So welcome to week whatever
7.
of Bible study, week 7.
I thought women was good with dates.
No, you got the wrong woman. Welcome to week 7 of Bible study. So I will go through my little spiel and we're gonna jump right in there. So, boom. We're using the Bible study book. So for those of you that don't have the book, all you have to do is text Bible study to 630-454-9703, or you can click the link and you can get a discount code for your book so you can follow along with us. We just use this as a guide. We don't necessarily be in the actual book all the time, but yeah, that's what it is. So my name is Lentia L. Marshall, and
I'm Antoine.
I thought you was gonna say you Batman.
No,
Not this time.
He left today.
So we are going to pick up in Genesis. Okay, we're gonna pick up in Genesis where we left off. We left off Genesis around chapter 27 because
I thought we was starting in 27.
But people was jumping ahead. I ain't gonna say their names, but I'm sure at least Jackson know who I'm talking about. Folks jumping ahead when we was talking.
But you was one of those people too, dear.
I can't deal. I am some we on TV. I can't deal. So, for those of you that are watching on Instagram, if you want to join us on Zoom, click the link in the comment by the illustrious Aya Thompson, Hope Dealer, and you can actually get the link to join us over on Zoom. Okay? All right. So, welcome to the replay viewers. Hey, y'all. You got to say hey to the replayers. You got to say hey to the people on the replay viewers.
Hey, replay viewers.
Yo,
I feel like she's trying to be funny.
I'm not. I'm being serious. Okay. So, like I said, we are picking up with talking about Jacob at chapter 27.
Who was Jacob?
Man, Jacob.
Give me a little background if I ain't, if I'm just tuning in.
If you're just tuning in, okay. So, Jacob and Esau.
Esau? What type of name is Esau?
I don't know, but do y'all know anybody named Esau for real in real life? I feel like your mama do. I'm just waiting on
anybody
her to shake
remember
her head.
What Esau means? Hey. Wow.
I feel like she knows somebody named Esau.
I don't, but I do know it's a common Arabic name.
No, I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
It's okay because it's Arabic. Okay.
Okay.
So not many people, we don't know many Arabic people to be named Esau. So it's all good.
Not in my community.
Not in our community. Jacob and Esau were brothers. I got to scoot over just okay. Okay. Jacob and Esau were brothers. Okay. So I want to read some information from y'all, right? So talking about chapter 27, Rebecca is Jacob and Esau's mother. And so just giving you a little synopsis. When Rebecca learned that Isaac was preparing to bless Esau, she quickly devised a plan to trick him into blessing Jacob. FYI, Isaac is Esau and Jacob's daddy. Rebecca is her husband, okay? Rebecca is his wife.
Yeah, Rebecca is his wife and they mother.
And their mother.
Yeah,
and their mother.
Their mother. Not
their
Jacob's
mother.
But
their mother. That's very important. Very important. So,
it'd be your own people.
Man, it'd be your own people. Okay, so going back, when Rebecca learned that Isaac, the father, was preparing to bless Esau, she quickly devised a plan to trick him into blessing Jacob instead. So, although God had already told her that Jacob would become the family leader, Rebecca took matters into her own hands. We talked about this last week about God not needing our help, but we just be determined on helping them. She took matters into her own hands. She resorted to doing something wrong to try to bring about what God had already said would happen. For Rebecca, the end justified the means. No matter how good we think our goals are, we should not attempt to achieve them by doing what is wrong. Would God approve of the methods you are using to accomplish your goals?
I was going to ask that question. You know what I'm saying? Does anybody feel like, you know what I'm saying, you've had situations where you like, okay, well, I did something wrong, but I was doing it for the right reason, or I did this or that. I feel like everybody has had those situations, but yeah, God don't really give you no excuse or no pass for the most part. Not from what I read so far, anyway.
I can give you an example.
Go ahead.
So when I was a kid, I think I might have been 15, I might have been 16. But I did not have a driver's license.
Nah, she got some more examples.
I did not have a driver's license. So I had told my mom had to work out of town. She was in training, and one of my friends was supposed to get my brothers from daycare because their daycare was next door to my high school. Well, the friend went home early, sick. So I took it upon myself to have another friend that had a driver's license ride the bus home with me. And my parents always kept the keys to the spare vehicle just hanging on the wall. So I took it upon myself to take the keys, have my friend drive back up to the daycare. I got my brothers, and she drove to her house. Now from her house home, I had to drive. I knew how to drive. I had that, right? No accidents happened.
So your friend still drove up, one of your other friends who had a license.
Yes.
Drove up there to the school to pick them up.
Yes.
But then y'all had to drop off at the crib, and then you had to make that trip.
There was no Uber back then. So I had to drive from her house home. So, and I told now mind you, I did it for a good reason, right? I did it for a good reason. Like, I didn't want my brother stuck at daycare. I didn't know who else to call to go get them or whatever, right? But I told my brothers, don't tell mama and daddy what happened.
So who snitched though?
It was Ricardo.
It's always the youngest one.
It was the youngest one.
That youngest one to do you in.
I'm talking about, like, we sitting at the kitchen table, and
some of y'all on here is that youngest one.
Y'all be snitching.
I ain't gonna point no specific people out, but some of these youngest ones snitch on you. You know
but that's one a very, very. I still got a whooping, y'all. I got a whooping. Okay, whatever. That was the end result of it, right? But I was doing everything for the right reasons, but I was still wrong. I literally stole a vehicle to go pick up my brothers from school.
We do realize why you got that whooping, though, right? We understand why that made sense, right?
Well, at the time, my mama just told me that I should have took the car. You know what I'm saying? But as an adult,
like, you could have hurt 3 people.
I definitely could.
So you know what I'm saying?
But she took me to get my driver's license after that because that proved to her I could drive. Right. Okay. So, a great example of how we can mean well and things still be wrong. Ali's cracking up. So we can mean well and things still be wrong, right? So skip down further in chapter 27. Another synopsis: how we react to a moral dilemma often exposes our real motives. Oh, we about to get into it. Frequently, we are more worried about getting caught than about doing what is right. Jacob did not seem concerned about the deceitfulness of his mother's plan. Instead, he was afraid of getting in trouble while carrying it out. Yo, this is crazy. If you are worried about getting caught, you are probably in a position that is less than honest. Let your fear of getting caught be a warning to do right. Jacob paid a huge price for carrying out this dishonest plan. Man. What you got?
So what if? So how does Jacob get himself out of this situation? I'm like, what do you think?
Well,
anybody?
How did he get himself out?
I mean, how could he have gotten himself out of this situation?
Hey, he could have talked to his mama like Jesus talked to his mama when he was going to the cross. He like, yo. He could have told her, yo, this ain't even right. But I'll say this. I do want to say this, right? Like,
hey, so now in Jacob's defense, sometimes these mamas, they, you know what I'm saying, they be meaning well, but they will set you up, take a hot L there now and then.
That's right.
They love you so much, that they be like, oh, well, you know what? We're going to do it this way. she had her favorite, so she gonna
I ain't got
rearrange.
no favorite kid.
She gonna rearrange what the Bible said, or what what the natural order of things were supposed to be in that day and time.
Now, I will say this. I like what it says is how we react to a moral dilemma often exposes our real motives, right? What we do when nobody can see us. You know what I'm saying? Like how it is that we are operating, and you know what I'm saying, when nobody can see us. Like nobody knew Rebecca's plan, right? Nobody knew what she had told Jacob to do, but Jacob knew in his heart that it was wrong. He was not concerned whether it was right or wrong. The only thing he was concerned about is getting caught.
Yeah, he didn't really give up too much
Nah.
too much of a fight, you know what I'm
Nah.
saying? And really, like, all he had to do was not show up, you know what I'm saying? And it's over with, you know what I'm saying? Everything operates how it's supposed to do.
Now, it does say around verse 11 that Jacob hesitated when he heard Rebecca's plan, right? He hesitated, but he didn't stop.
But hold on, Jacob was a full-grown adult at this time, right? So Jacob really didn't have no.
He questioned it though, and he gave her opportunity to reconsider.
He questioned it,
but she ain't reconsidered.
It's like you find some money on the ground, and somebody like, man, we seen Buddy drop his wallet. Should we give it back? And it's like, yeah, the right answer is we probably should go drop Buddy his money off.
Yeah, he gave her. He definitely questioned it. She didn't go back. She was like, "Listen, full steam ahead on it." So
I'm not blaming Rebecca for that one though. Like a lot of times, like even though she gave you the idea, she planted the seed. This was a grown man. Like he was not a child. Mama couldn't whoop him. Mama couldn't do nothing. Mama couldn't cancel his birthright. Couldn't cancel his blessing. Mama had no authority over him. In reality, his father had all authority over him. And had he told his father what his mother was trying to do, Mama probably would have been in some hot water.
Uh-oh. What you got, Miss Woodridge?
Despite the fact that Jacob was a young man at this time, custom was you didn't go against your parents. So Jacob was 100% complicit in the act, but his mother devised the entire thing. Even when Jacob was like, my daddy gonna know it's not me. He know how I feel. He know how I sound. She even had a plan for that. She had a plan for everything. She put him on animal skins to make him as his brother.
She slapped.
So she was fully invested.
Completely, because had she not put this whole thing together, Jacob probably wouldn't have been thinking, I need to make sure I take my brother's birthright because I want to be first in the order.
Now,
even though I think that God had already made provisions for this to happen. I don't think they had to do that. He already made provision because he said it. And Sarah knew it.
Rebecca
knew it. So he had already made provision. So I don't even understand. It was like a good girl gone bad real fast.
She said a good girl gone bad real fast. It was taking too long for her. She like, listen, it's taking too long for me.
But see, this is what happens when we find things favorable to us. And so now I understand what you're saying. And like you said, they didn't go against what their parents said back in those days, even to the point where they pretty much almost married whoever their parents told them to marry. But in the same thing, in not going against her, he was going against his father. And then going against your father was the primary head. I mean, he was head of everything in that custom and that tradition. So if you were not going to disappoint somebody, it was going to be daddy in most cases in those times. It wasn't going to be mother, because mother couldn't really banish you without father's okay. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Mother couldn't really send you out and tell you can't come back unless daddy okayed it. He had to sign off on it.
But this is a different family dynamic, though. Jacob was Rebecca's favorite, while Esau was Isaac's favorite. So the relationship that he had with his mom was closer than the relationship that he had with his dad. So for him, going with his mom, in his mind, that's not going against my dad. I'm just obeying what my mama told me to do. Which is a lot of times as parents, children are put in those situations where they're like, okay, well, yo, like, this is the funniest thing. I'm not even gonna say who it was, but there's somebody I knew growing up, when they would get F's on their report cards, the mother would change the F's to A's.
Okay.
So that the dad wouldn't know that the child was failing school. What? And I was like, no wonder why you a dumb adult. Wow. I was like, how crazy. And the thing was, the dad was giving out money, you know what I'm saying, for A's and, B's and stuff like that. So you done got F's. And your mom done changed your report to A's. And you not only did you deceive them, like with the report card, now you done stole from them.
You done stole from them on top of that.
Yo, it's real. It's real out here. It's real out here. Listen. Listen, I'm a mama, but I will tell you that sometimes mamas and the sons, we do too much. We will. Not me, because I really don't. Now I will. No, because my kids, he the favorite parent to everybody. So, going further down, one of the consequences to Jacob's actions were that he never saw his mother again. Go figure. The one that told you was so close, with her, y'all got this great relationship, and he never saw his mother again. Esau wanted to kill him. Rightfully so.
What did you think, bro, was going to do? Like, he was just going to be like, you know what? That's just Jacob being Jacob. You know, already stole his birthright. Now you stealing his blessing too. Like, yeah, it's only so much man can take.
Not only that, he was deceived by his uncle Laban. His family became torn by strife. Then Esau became the founder of an enemy nation. Like, not only did his brother want to kill him, he went and founded an enemy nation. He was exiled from his family for years. Ironically, Jacob would have received the birthright and blessing anyway. Imagine how different his life would have been had he and his mother waited for God to work his way in his time. So I got a question. There's a question on the board, right? There's a question. Can anyone give an example of when y'all just got tired of waiting and y'all said, look, I'm going to do this, and tell us what the outcome was? Anybody willing to share?
I'll share, because we're going to have to jump off in about 15 minutes.
Okay, go ahead, Alice.
I was laughing because when you was talking about you had stolen that car, I used to steal cars too when I was a teenager, so I'm with your sister.
Okay.
But mine wasn't for a good reason. I was just going to steal my sister's car while she was going up her boyfriend's house at night. But I started laughing because I remember a time where I wanted some cornbread, and my godmother used to make homemade cornbread all the time. We would have fish fries at her house, and she would use white cornmeal and make it from scratch. And I kept trying to figure out how she did it because I loved it. So I told my mama I wanted some, and my mama was just like, "Well, I'll make it for you. You know, when I make cornbread, I'll make it for you, whatever." So I got tired of waiting because I really, really wanted the cornbread. So I caught myself going in there looking, figuring out ingredients. I looked on the back of the cornmeal bag. They got the ingredients. And I caught myself making me cast iron skillet cornbread. And I don't know if this is just black families, but my mom used to always call baking soda and baking powder the same thing. Yellow box of baking soda, she'd be like, bring me the baking powder. So I assumed that the cornbread called for a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and I got the baking soda in the yellow box. So when I cooked the cornbread and baked it, it came out, it was salty as ever. And my mama made me eat that whole pan. I had a slice of cornbread every day with dinner until that whole pan was gone. I forget it. It traumatized me because that stuff was so salty. And I'm talking about, I was gagging to the point where I wanted to throw up, but I knew I was going to get a whooping if I threw up. So I didn't get a whooping, but my punishment was me having to eat that by myself. Now every day she made me eat a slice of it.
Now you got to deal with the mess you'd have made.
Yo.
Right, now I got to deal with the mess I'd have made.
I can't even give a better example because eat salty cornbread, a whole pan of salty cornbread. Like, I ain't got nothing. I got nothing.
You talking about salty? I'm talking about it didn't even taste like cornbread.
Oh,
because I think I had used too much baking soda, but I was confused with baking soda and baking powder, the actual baking powder.
Oh, bless your heart. That's why you got high blood pressure.
I bet you ain't make that mistake no more.
Yes, Miss Woodridge.
I have a story. Actually, it almost turned out tragic for me and Tony. One night, it was winter. I was maybe 14, and so Tony had to be 16. And we wanted Chinese food. It was almost a blizzard going on. So my father told us, okay, take the car. And the car had a battery that if you got the car started, you don't turn the car off until you make it back home.
Oh, okay.
So Tony we go to the Chinese restaurant, and before he go in, he's like, no matter what happened, do not turn this car off. So I'm like, okay. He was in that Chinese restaurant so long, and I was looking at the gas hand like, we're going to run out of gas sitting here at the Chinese restaurant while he in there. And again, it's probably like -2 degrees. I turned the car off. That boy came out of that store. He was like, you turned the car off. I told you not to. I'm like, we're going to run out of gas. So anyway, as a result of me not being patient and waiting on Tony to come out of the store, Tony had to take the battery out of the car, get on the bus, go all the way home. I had to stay in the car because he only had money for one person. I had to stay in the car
in the cold car.
Wait until he went home, charge the battery up, come back, and put it in the car. I nearly froze to freaking death.
I bet
because I was impatient.
I bet you didn't do it again.
Oh no. No, I didn't even want Chinese rice after that. I wanted to go get $1 box of Chinese rice and gravy.
I'm not even hungry no more at that point.
I almost froze to death for
$1. All right. That was another good example. Uh-oh. All right. Welcome to, okay. Hold on. Aya got an example. She says, my example is I got married when I knew it wasn't time. I made the decision, then asked God to bless it. 12 years later, I got a divorce. Yo, operating out of God's time will get you. Listen, because there's a blessing in waiting on God. Like legit, it's a blessing in waiting on God. I was reading earlier some notes that I had written down because sometimes when I'm thinking of stuff, I like put it in my notes on my phone. And one of the things that I said is the most important time after prayer is 15 minutes after prayer, right? Like after you stop talking, that 15 minutes to listen to God and what he's saying. And sometimes you can't, sometimes we're in the hustle and bustle of the day. So we just pray and we start moving and going and we forget that we need to listen to his response. So that patience in that 15 minutes, it definitely be tested. Listen, it definitely be tested. But there's definitely obedience and waiting and being patient on God's word, on his guidance in every area of our lives. Because, like at the end of the day, his word is the last word anyway. Who is that? Is that Takara? Okay. No. Kia, mute yourself. Welcome, Kia. So,
sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Welcome. So one of the reasons, like, I know, okay, so if this is ever your first time or you might have heard people preach this, one of the reasons why you like, well, why when Isaac found out about it, that he couldn't just, reverse what he said, right? He'd be like, oh, I take that back. You know what I'm saying? Now I know that Jacob tricked me and it's supposed to be Esau. Why I couldn't take it back. So in ancient times, a person's word was binding. So once he gave Jacob the blessing, that was it. He couldn't take it back. It was irreversible. And that's what made this story and this situation of what Rebecca came up with. Yeah. This what made it even more, I guess you want to say, damaging because it was irreversible.
I think that's what turned Esau up real quick. He was like, hold on, so you can't give me nothing. He asked,
like, you can't give my stuff back.
Like he asked him, he like, ain't nothing left for me. You don't have anything for me, Father. Now, mind you, like he said, in these times, this was you the dad. You the dad passing down pretty much your entire legacy of everything that you have to your oldest son, and now your oldest son is basically the patriarch of the family, and he does the same thing to where now he is governing the family just like what I'm saying his dad was at that time. And so now everything that he's supposed to be ruler over, his brother then pretty much stole in two little attempts, and really didn't take him much, And again, like you said, this given time, it was just, hey, you know what? I'm listening to mom, but yeah, mama set him up for a big L. I mean, he got his brother at his head, chasing him down or looking to kill him. And now even in that, she like, oh well, now her very thing that she told him to do, she now had to turn around basically and not really banish him, but she got to tell him, hey, you got to run and get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Because I messed up. I ain't got no control over your brother. I can't control your brother. You know what I'm saying? He's now technically supposed to be the head, but you've stolen everything from him that, you know what I'm saying, he was supposed to gain.
So, do y'all remember, okay, for those of you that weren't with us last year, Esau didn't even really want this stuff, right? Like, this is what's so ironic about it. Esau didn't even really want this stuff. But the fact that it was taken from him, that's what got him livid. So, around the 41st verse, Esau was so angry at Jacob that he failed to see his own wrong and giving away the birthright in the first place. Jealous anger blinds us from seeing the benefits we have and makes us dwell on what we don't have. Oh, okay. So he was so concerned about what was taken away from him, he didn't even stop to think about his actions about even giving the birthright away.
No, I mean, but that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize anger pretty much almost puts you at a position to where it takes you out of rational behavior and causes you. There are people who are literally right now in jail for 5 minutes of anger. You know what I'm saying? And it's literally cost them their entire lifetime because of something that really could have been solved a ton of different ways had they simply took the time to step back and step out of the situation. I mean, it reminds me of this thing I put up recently on social media where the guy was asking him, how much, how long did it take? And the guy was like, well, what do you mean? How long did it take? And he was like, how long did whatever action you do or you did take you know what I'm saying, to get here in jail, and how much time did it cost you? And so he said, well, let me see your paperwork. When he looked at his paperwork, he said it took him a total of 3 minutes to get 20 years in jail. 20 years. 2 different crimes. One crime, 1 minute and 20 seconds. The other crime, another minute and whatever, you know what I'm saying? And that cost him 20 years of his life. The guy told him, he was like, well, be lucky, young buck. It didn't take me that long. He like, I feel I'm in a worse boat than you. He like, it only took me about 30 seconds. He stabbed somebody a few times and the man died and he in prison for life.
Yo. Anger. I'll say this. I posted up on social media about apologizing, right? Sometimes we're so hurt and angry by what's being done to us, we do not see what it is that we're doing to another individual. And we feel justified, right? We feel justified. And the hard truth is that even when you wrong an individual or individual wrongs you, right? Even when an individual wrongs you, right? It still does not give you pass to wrong them. And when I say wrong, it still doesn't even give you a pass to offend them, to hurt them, right? Even if it's not intentionally. So for me, I know, see, the people on Zoom, they're going to laugh because they know me. See, for me, when I feel wrong, I just cut off. I just, boom, new number, who this? Like, that's where I go with it, right? But, and at least what you say?
Oh, it's okay. That's very romantic.
You knew they was coming.
That's my niece, my nephew. So I cut, right? New number, who this? In that, I'm not intentionally hurting another person. I I am intentionally setting my boundaries and protecting myself. But the reality is, cutting someone off who you've had a relationship with, it hurts them, it offends them. And the Holy Spirit dealt with me. The Holy Spirit dealt with me and was like, yo, go apologize to these 4 people. And I was like, is this the Holy Spirit speaking? Not 3 times if it's you, Jesus. But the reality of it is when I looked at it and the Holy Spirit showed me, like, it doesn't matter if your intention was to protect yourself, you still offended and hurt other people. And it don't even matter. When I get to the gates, he's not going to ask me, what did they do to you for you to respond or react in that manner? You know what I'm saying? It's just about me. So whatever their prayer is and whatever they're praying to God and whatever the Holy Spirit shows them, that's them and their business. But for me, I had to apologize for the offense that I caused and the hurt that I caused. And sometimes that's hard. That's hard. Apologizing to somebody when you know that they did you dirty, baby. That was hard. I almost cried. Almost. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. But in this whole thing that happened with Esau, once Jacob tricked him, his whole life, the whole trajectory of his life changed.
But look at what happened though. He started getting exactly what he was giving out. So that same trickery and deception that he was, dishing out, that he had gave out to, Esau, he got hit with that same blow. Imagine
absolutely
working 7 years of your life.
We're not there yet.
Hey, man, look.
We're not there yet. But this is something that's interesting, right? This is something that's interesting. It says, when you lose something of great value, or if others conspire against you and succeed, anger is the first and most natural reaction. But you can control your feelings by, 1, recognizing your reaction for what it is. Because really, a lot of times we're not angry. A lot of times we just hurt. You know what I'm saying? You thought I was delivered. A lot of times we're hurt and it comes out as anger, but we really hurt, right? 2, praying for strength. And 3, asking God for help to see the opportunities that even your bad situation may provide.
I think a lot of times we use anger as a scapegoat. Like we enjoy the benefit of being able to say, I got angry and I wilded out real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because the reality of it is, and I was thinking about like different scenarios in my own life, and I'm like, I could say I got so angry I couldn't control my temper or whatever the case may be, and I did this, that, and the other. But then I'd be thinking, I'm like, okay, well, if this same scenario happened in the police station, I don't care how angry you are, you're going to manage that temper. You're going to make sure that you don't, do what you would normally do in that reaction. So what that showed me, it was like, okay, well, you have control over your anger. You just choose to give into it. And it's easier to do when you feel offended or you feel hurt. It's like, I'm hurt, so I want you to hurt.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is, like I say, there is almost no situation. There are very few situations where a person can be like, oh, well, I don't care where I was at. I was getting down. I was going to whoop their head or this, that, and the other. There are very few things that you can say, okay, well, this was going to happen if I was in the police station. This was going to happen if I was in the courtroom. So that means this was going to happen if I was in the boardroom. So that means we practice managing these tempers or this anger on a daily basis. So we can't then turn around and use the excuse of anger to say, oh, well, you know what? They made me mad, so I flipped out. No, they made you mad. You were hurt and you wanted to flip out. You know what I'm saying? So you gave into it.
Aya says, for me, anger was an easier emotion for me to deal with for years. The hurt was too much to unpack. Some people have issues. I am some people with actually saying you hurt me, like you hurt me. So it's easier to resort and say I'm upset and I'm angry than it is to like let a person know like, yo, you got up under my skin, you hurt me. Yes, Miss Woodridge.
Most people aren't taught that. It's a vulnerable thing to say you hurt me, whereas absolutely. Anger ain't no vulnerability in that.
You know
I'm trying to attack you.
And sometimes, to Antoine's point, and I know that I have done this myself, so I'm speaking from personal experience. A lot of us, like, say somebody is consistently doing stuff to tick you off, like you already have a plan in your head for the next time they do it. The next time they come at me, I'm saying you got a whole script roll out. I remember for New Year's Eve one time, a friend of mine who had just been doing crazy stuff, like so. For like right before New Year's Eve, I knew that I was gonna get a Happy New Year text, right? I had wrote out a long text. It was bad. As soon as he said Happy New Year, send.
Okay, so she got a premeditated text of damage.
See? So bad and so long.
She was waiting on a Happy New Year. Who does that? Who waits for somebody? You know what? You made me mad in July. Don't worry about it because New Year's coming and you're going to send me a text. I'm ready.
I was so ready.
Kids say, yes, ma'am, I'm guilty too, Nana.
I cannot wait to get that Happy New Year's text sent.
It don't matter that the text is positive or not. This is just like, hey, soon as I get a reply or anything, I'm going for broke. It don't matter.
Right.
Wow.
Oh, God. Oh, Lord. Okay, hold on. Go to Kyra. Go ahead to Kyra.
This is what I be talking about, though. Like, hey, this just taught me something. See, this just taught me something, though. Like,
what it taught you?
Like, as a male, we be sitting there, when y'all be upset, we be wondering, like, bro, how did they type all of that fast? It's not possible. Ain't no way on earth she just typed all that.
Not for me. I typed
3 minutes. In 3 minutes. No. These books y'all be sending. And then y'all wonder why y'all get them replies. They be like, okay, I understand that. Like, cause first of all, who's finna read a book to even have to respond to? So yeah,
it don't matter. It's sent. It's sent. Go ahead, Takara.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I was going to say, I'm just like that. I'm over here shaking my head like, y'all, I have my stuff in my notes. Like,
okay.
Go ahead and go back, copy and paste, and go ahead and send it because I know that they finna make me mad because they already made me mad, and they know that they make me mad because they tells me. But I'm better now. This was before. This was in last year.
So she said it was last year.
I'm better now. I'm so much
look at
better.
that.
I know that they trigger me so I can get ready to trigger off. But then I used to have my things saved in my notes and I'd be practicing if I gotta speak over the phone or
okay.
I'd be like, let me say this. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna say that and I'm gonna say that.
I am over here.
I like y'all honesty.
I'm over here cracking
up. But look,
up.
at least
I ain't did that.
At least
not in my personal life.
At least you put it in your notes instead of putting it in your
right. She done typed it up, ready to hit send.
So that means at least you gave them the opportunity to say something positive and respond back normal. But when you already got it typed out right in the text, and that's the first thing you hit, that means you already knew it didn't matter what they was texting. You was sending out that text to get them that work.
Now, I will say, in my personal life, I don't do that. But in corporate, I be like, per my last email.
That's hilarious.
Okay? Per my last email. I have drafts. Now, in my current position, I don't really have to do that. But in my previous jobs, I had emails drafted. I had my resignation drafted, ready to hit send on the email. So I feel y'all. Now, I ain't sending it as a text message, but in corporate America, yeah, they be trying you. So I had to, you ain't got to get ready if you stay ready. So I kept the resignation.
I got to let these brothers know what's really happening.
Listen. Whoo, Lord. Okay. All right, y'all. So, all right. Recognizing your reaction for what it is, praying for strength, and then asking God for help to see the opportunities that even your bad situation may provide. There have been so many times throughout life where, the devil meant for our harm, but God turned it around for our good. But the minute that we get upset or the minute that we're in a situation, we forget all of that. We be like, what?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of what positives Esau could have took from this situation. And I'm like, man, I don't see it, but hey.
But he could have just trusted God.
But in the reality, I guess, if that wasn't what he actually wanted, it may have been a relief. But it ain't like, because in the reality, it ain't like he was going to, be, he was gonna get left out in reality because my brother still owns everything, so he was still gonna be part owner or whatever the case may have happened.
Yeah. So now we jump over to, let me see, what are we talking about Laban at? And okay, we ain't there yet. Okay, so Jacob's trip to Haran. I call it Haran. Some people may call it Haran. 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 His trip there. So after deceiving Esau, Jacob went on the run, 400 miles. Can you imagine? Like, they ain't even have horse and carriages.
No, they had horses and
Didn't they ride on donkeys?
I mean, they had.
I mean,
donkeys,
but if you're on the run, a donkey ain't going fast enough.
They had horses. They had all that back then.
What you say, Miss Woodridge?
But he didn't go because he wanted to, remember.
No.
Right.
His mother overheard Esau plotting to kill him.
Well,
so again, it wasn't him, Jacob.
No.
It wasn't
he listening to mama again
to do anything. His mother again put together a whole nother scheme, told him to leave, and then what did she do? Go and tell his father, oh, if he don't leave here, he gonna marry one of these women like Esau, and they gonna be the death of me. So he needs to go home and find him a wife. So again, she put together a whole elaborate scheme. She was specifically for him,
baby.
She put together another scheme.
She was doing some real manipulation going on.
Man.
Yeah. So in chapter 2, I just couldn't imagine running out and going 400 miles. Okay, I don't want to go a mile up the street to the grocery store, so I can just imagine being out there in the desert 400 miles because your mama told you to do something crazy.
I mean, when your life on the line, it kind of make you think about things a little different.
I mean, I guess so, right? Your feet move a little faster while you out there in the desert. I guess.
Trying to feel your head, it make you think a little different.
So in chapter 28, it says, so Isaac called for Jacob and blessed him and commanded him, do not marry a Canaanite woman. Go at once to Paddan Aram, to the house of your mother's father, Bethuel. Take a wife for yourself there and among the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and increase your numbers until you become a community of peoples. This is another example. I'm going to be bold when I say this, right? This is why we should not judge anybody. Another reason why we should not judge anybody, because you see so many times in the Bible where people are marrying people who they are related to. But we are so quick to, in social media, in society, period, be like, oh, they nasty, they incest, they do this. Now, granted, I'm not talking about no uncle sleeping with an underage child. I'm not even talking about something that's non-consensual. What I'm saying is sometimes we have to understand another person's culture before we jump to a conclusion because they don't live their life like we live ours.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, because now, while a lot of this was going on back in those days, it's still a practice in certain societies or certain cultures.
In certain states.
Okay.
West Virginia.
In different...
What?
In different countries around the world, this is still a known practice, that people, and to them, they're preserving their bloodline, or they're keeping royal blood in royal blood. So it's not that they're marrying, they're not looking at it like, okay, well, I'm marrying my second cousin or whatever the case may be. They're looking like, hey, this is already set up before I was even born. A lot of times is the case. Now,
so, go ahead.
Now, this I will say, this kind of shocked me though, that at this point Isaac knew he had already. I mean, so he had already been deceived, and you still.
But his word was binding though. Like he couldn't go back on his word.
Like, I guess this shows, just like you said, the difference between then and now. Because nowadays, if I give you my word that we got a contract, this, that, and the other, But if I found out you manipulated something or you were deceptive in the contract, I can legally take you to court to get out of that contract, and it's no longer binding.
How about
Whereas
this?
in those days, yeah.
I got one for you. How about you telling your oldest child, your firstborn child, I'm going to buy your a car, right? And they get bad grades the whole year. And your secondborn, they're only a year apart. Your secondborn child gets all A's. You forfeited your opportunity to get a car. So now it goes to the second child. You feel what I'm saying? Like and we can do that. We can do that now. We got the freedom to do that because what we say to our children and what we promise our children, we aren't held to that. We aren't held to the same standard that they did in Bible days. Just imagine. I'd be a millionaire.
I think we put a little more stipulations on things than they did though back in those days.
Oh, we absolutely.
Like I feel like a lot of times in those days, the tradition was the tradition. It did not matter,
and they did not deviate from it.
And they didn't deviate. Versus where now, like you got to carry out certain things, or you have to live or do things in a certain manner to still be, to receive rewards or things of that nature. It's just no different than something as simple as allowance. You know what I'm saying? Kids want allowance, then they know they got to do their chores in order to get that allowance. But in the same token, though, kids weren't as disrespectful for the most part as they are now compared to those days. Like you said, even Jacob and his mother, you know what I'm saying? He was listening to his mother, even though he felt like he questioned what mama said, he still didn't. Like, nah, Ma, I'm not on that. He still went through with it. Whereas me, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna just go disappear for a minute. By the time Mama get back, you know what I'm saying, he gonna be an already blessed Esau, because I ain't finna steal this man joint.
Can I say this? Totally off topic, but see, this is why I'm ready to get out of Genesis. Because women, we are 0-3 at this point. We 0-3, okay? We got Eve, Sarai, Rebecca. Like, come on.
These women study cause and problems for these brothers in the Bible days.
The first 50 chapters of the Bible.
50 chapters in, and y'all just acting the fool.
Listen, wait a minute. It might get a little better because we only at chapter 28. But
running the muck. Just
Jesus. Man. Eve. Man. Okay. All right. We back. Chapter 28. So around verse 9, Ishmael was Isaac's half-brother. We remember Ishmael is Hagar's son with Abraham. After marrying 2 foreign girls, Esau hoped his marriage into Ishmael's family would please his parents, Isaac and Rebekah. Why do you think that he thought that marrying into Ishmael's family would please his mom and dad? Like, why was he still looking? First of all, why is he even still wanting anything from his mama? Y'all laughing. I'm serious. Like, why is he trying to get confirmation, affirmation, validation, any other type of Asian from his mama?
I got nothing, because at that point I'm gonna have to disown you, Ma. You robbed it. Jacob didn't rob me by himself. Y'all robbed me together. But I wondered, did he ever find out that it was his mother who orchestrated everything?
That's a good question.
Because he may not have known.
Point. That's a good point.
He may still have thought, okay, well, I have a loving, amazing mom, and not thinking that Mama the one who didn't help Isaac slap this honey on his back, on his neck and stuff, and put goat hair on him to go help him deceive Dad to get my stuff.
That's good.
That may be it. Okay. She may have. I mean, he may have legitimately not known at this point.
That's good. What you got, Ms. Woodridge?
The reason why he went and married a woman from his own family, number one, because they were not supposed to marry the Canaanite women, period.
Right.
So again, him marrying a Canaanite woman was another one of Esau's, I don't care about these rules and regulations. I'm gonna do what I want to do. But when his mother expressed displeasure in it and made sure that Jacob didn't do what Esau had already done, then Esau was probably like, okay, I know, let me go ahead and do at least something from my custom, because up to this point he had done nothing from his custom.
Esau was having none of it.
Esau was just he wasn't about none but the hunt and being an outdoorsman at that point, pretty much.
But you know what? I think also that the fact that I feel like he did know that his mom helped Jacob deceive, his father. And I think that even though he was upset with Jacob, I think that he sort of asked himself, why is it that my mother chose Jacob over me? And even though he married, he married outside of his family first, he probably said, maybe this is why my mom chose Jacob, because Jacob did everything my mama told him to. Clearly, Jacob did everything his mama told him to. And he probably started questioning himself and saying, you know what, let me try to get back in the good graces of my mother and my father, because clearly it was something that my mother saw in Jacob that she didn't see in me.
I mean, him and Dad was tight. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He ain't really had no problems with Dad. It's just, man.
Crazy. Further down in chapter 28, God's covenant promise to Abraham and Isaac was offered to Jacob as well. But it was not enough to be Abraham's grandson. Jacob had to establish his own personal relationship with God. God has no grandchildren. Each of us must have a personal relationship with him. It is not enough to hear wonderful stories about Christians in your family. You need to become a part of the story yourself.
I feel like a lot of times we do that though.
We try to,
like a lot of people they try to go off for grandma's blessing or auntie.
Grandma still praying for me.
Such blessing, you know what I'm saying? And that's they connection to God. Oh, well, and a lot of times I feel like God, there are examples in the Bible where God has honored different things, like for example, Ishmael. He honored Abraham's request to protect him, because of Abraham. It had nothing to do with Ishmael. He honored him because of Abraham's request and desire to make sure that, he was protected and he was taken care of.
That's good. So, just some points that I just want to make. Bethel was an important center for worship. It started out as an important center for worship. Bethel is a place that people went to go to worship. Unfortunately, Bethel became the center of idol worship, right? And further on in the Bible, when we get to Hosea, you'll find out that Hosea was definitely condemning Bethel for its evil practices. But put a pin right there about Bethel and its evil practices and the fact that it started off as a place where everybody went to worship, and then it turned into a place where idol worship began to happen. Now, when you look down at around verse 20, it can be perceived that Jacob was trying to bargain with God. And one of the reasons why Jacob was trying to bargain with God is because Jacob had not listened, or let me just say, he had not been taught, right, about how to worship and actually serve God. What you got?
That's kind of hard for me to believe that he's not been taught.
That's what the Bible say.
Anything? No, I'm just saying. I understand that, but it's kind of it's odd that if Isaac is, their father, and he's over this entire nation, that he's not doing something.
But Jacob wasn't out there with his daddy though. Esau was.
Yeah,
Jacob was with his mama.
That's true. I mean, but at
and
some
we 0
point
for 3,
time,
so I don't know what she was teaching her son, because we 0 for 3 by chapter 28 of the Bible. So I don't know, but it says that Jacob treated God like a servant who would perform a service for a tip. Isn't that something? That's what he thought God was. More likely, Jacob was not bargaining, but pleading his future to God. He may have been saying, in effect, because you have blessed me, I will follow you. Whether Jacob was bargaining or pledging, God blessed him. But God also has some difficult lessons for Jacob to learn. Let me tell you, and I want to go back to one of the comments that Aya made about getting married too soon, right? And then, she said 12 years later, she ended up in a divorce. So I think like this. We can do something and we can be totally out of order, not listen to God and all of that. But at the end of the day, like, we can ask him to bless it and he'll bless us, right? But it takes us down a different path when we choose to be outside of the will of God, and then we ask him to bless us, right? You know what I'm saying? So I absolutely know that during those 12 years there were some great times that, like, listen, would have been the best husband in the world. You look to your left, you look to your right, ain't nobody messing with me. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Yes. About your husband, yes, right? I know. I'm a little hood, y'all. So, ain't nobody messing with my clique. Oh, okay. That's the song I'm thinking about. Okay. So, you stupid. So what I'm saying is, but still, there were hard lessons to learn, right? It wasn't like they woke up one day and was like, okay, we're going to get a divorce. There were hard lessons to learn. So God is like, yes, I'll bless you when you ask me after the fact, but I still got some hard lessons for you to learn, right? So that's deep. That's deep. So here we go. Now we go, because y'all been waiting to get to this. Y'all been waiting since last week to get to this. Verse 29, around verse 18. It was the custom of the day for a man to present a dowry, or 29.
Chapter 29.
Yeah, chapter 29. A dowry or substantial gift to the family of his future wife. This was to compensate the family for the loss of the girl. I wish somebody would pay for me. Golly. Jacob's dowry was not a material possession, for he had nothing to offer. He had nothing. Instead,
he got there broke.
Instead, he agreed to work 7 years for Laban. How many years would you have worked for me?
I'm thinking about what
how many years would you have worked?
Would you let somebody walk in your door with nothing and promise your daughter to them? You don't even know what quality of work they gonna perform. They might be working and you be like, oh my God, this is terrible work.
But if you gotta fire them, they ain't gonna get your daughter no way. If you gotta let them go, they ain't gonna get them no way. So they better come in here and work.
He said, I work. He didn't say the quality of work he was gonna perform.
Listen, the type of man that Laban was, okay, man. I bet you he was getting some hard work in.
That's crazy.
But how many years would you have worked for me?
I don't know. I'm gonna plead the fifth on that.
I can't. Especially since I ain't come with a dowry.
think about what you saying. It's not, so the issue ain't the issue ain't the work. The issue is, while you're doing this work for this 7 years, you have no connection to this woman.
That is true.
He had no connection to this woman, no ties to this woman. And like, you just hoping that this individual keeps his word. Now, what if while you're working, you on year 5, you done work 5 years, and somebody else shows up with a dowry? Mm-hmm. They show up like, hey, I got X, Y, and Z, and this looking real promising to dad. He got a bag. I'm finna get all this.
Laban seems like the type of person that would be like, yeah.
Yes, 100%. He
sold.
Like, sold to the highest bidder. Sold to the gentleman with 2 years left. Like, yeah, nah.
So it says that he agreed to work 7 years for Laban, but there was another custom of the land that Laban did not tell Jacob. The older daughter had to be married first. By giving Jacob Leah and not Rachel, Laban tricked him into promising another 7 years of hard work. Listen,
that's what happened when you stay in the house up under mama all day and you ain't paying no attention what's going on.
Man, you ain't got no street smarts like, about you.
Don't know nothing.
He played you all the way to the left.
He should have known that. I feel like that was something, and not just an innate custom.
You know, and I think that Leah and this is
rough. That means that
you worked 14 years to get to
no, not even that. But just imagine, that means in the 7 years he worked, nobody desired Leah at all. Nobody came along and was like, hey, let me get this one. I know you promised that one out already, but let me get this one since she's still on the market. Like, in 7 years, nobody was like, man, she a looker.
Hey.
Jeez.
So it says that Leah had weak eyes, meaning Leah was not that desirable visually. And Rachel was lovely in form and beautiful. Jacob was actually in love with Rachel.
I mean, it could have been just that one was prettier than the other, not necessarily that one.
No, the Bible said that she was weak on the eyes. That, I mean, they didn't really,
They didn't do her.
They didn't chop their words up back then. So Laban said, "It's better that I give her to you than some other man. Stay here with me." And so Jacob served 7 years to get Rachel, but they seemed like only a few days to him because of his love for her. So then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife. My time is completed and I want to lie with her." So Laban brought together all the people of the place and gave a feast. But when evening came, he took his daughter Leah and gave her to Jacob, and Jacob lay with her. And Laban gave his servant girl Zilpah to his daughter as her maidservant. When morning came, there was Leah. So Jacob said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? I served you for Rachel, didn't I? Why have you deceived me?"
I want to know what they gave him to drink.
Right.
Because he must have been out there.
Cut on the lights.
That you didn't know a whole different woman was in your bed from the one that you didn't desire.
I mean, it was dog. It was dog.
Hey,
it was dog.
That.
And it said, Laban replied, "It is not our custom here to give the younger daughter in marriage before the older one. Finish this daughter's bridal week. Then we will give you the younger one also in return for another 7 years of work." And Jacob did so. He finished the week with Leah and then finished the week. Oh, God. Oh, Lord. The Bible be making it seem like it's just so barbaric. He finished the week with her and gave him his daughter Rachel to be his wife. Laban gave his servant girl Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as her maidservant. Jacob lay with Rachel also, and he loved Rachel more than Leah, and he worked for Laban another 7 years. Now, I want to go through this because this is important, huh?
No, I was just thinking this is the first example of sister wives.
Yo, I'm not even playing with those sister wives. I'm not even playing with them. So, when the Lord saw that Leah was not loved, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Mind you, Leah was the one that Jacob really didn't want. He really didn't want Leah, but she could have children, but the one he was in love with could not.
The bulk of his bloodline wound up coming through
Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Reuben, for she said, "It is because the Lord has seen my misery. Surely my husband will love me now." She conceived again, and when she gave birth to a son, she said, "Because the Lord heard that I am not loved, he gave me this one too." So she named him Simeon. Again she conceived, and when she gave birth to a son, she said, "Now at last my husband will become attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons." So he was named Levi. She conceived again, and when she gave birth to a son, she said, "This time I will praise the Lord." So she named him Judah. Then she stopped having children. I heard somebody preach this, and they preached it real good. I think it was Charina Page preached this real good about Leah naming her sons about the condition that she was in. Now, we've been talking about names and what they mean throughout all of Genesis, but she was naming her sons based off the condition that she was in. But she saw that her husband would love her, you know what I'm saying? As long as she was naming her sons, based on the condition that she was in. Then all of a sudden she got this epiphany. Listen, I don't need the love from him. You know what I'm saying? Let me just rejoice in the Lord that I can have children because my sister Rachel can't. And she named him Judah. And then she stopped having children. Okay. When Rachel saw that she was not bearing Jacob any children, she became jealous of her sister. Don't this story sound familiar? Okay. Sarai and Hagar. All right. So she said to Jacob, "Give me children or I'll die." Said, what woman ever? Said, what woman ever? Or I'll die?
Okay. I'm sure she ain't, she might not be the first.
Lord Jesus. Well, she was the first.
No, I know.
But she in Genesis.
No, I mean, not necessarily, but I'm saying she wasn't the first person. She couldn't understand in those days. Again, we understand the times. This was a big deal in that in culture, period. If you could not have a son for your husband, a lot of times you weren't looked on favorably. You were treated differently. You were handled differently, not only by your husband, but by his family, your family. Like you were treated like you weren't worthy.
So we're now in chapter 30. When Rachel saw that she was not bearing Jacob any children, she became jealous of sis. So she said to Jacob, "Give me children or I die." Jacob became angry with her and said, "Am I in the place of God who has kept you from having children?" He like, "This ain't my fault, girl." So then she said, "Here's Bilhah." This in Jacob bloodline, y'all, because Sarai, aka Sarah, was his grandma. Okay. And she says, "Here is Bilhah, my maidservant. Sleep with her so that she can bear children for me, and that through her I can build a family." So she gave him her servant Bilhah as a wife. Jacob slept with her, and she became pregnant and bore him a son. Then Rachel said, "God has vindicated me, has listened to my plea, and given me a son. Because of this, she named him Dan." Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, "I have had a great struggle with my sister, and I have won." So she named him Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had stopped having children, she took her maid servant Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Just around here, just giving up women. Tell me something. You know what? My womb closed. I'm done. So here you go, husband.
Something must be wrong with me when I think of wins. That ain't really quite how I.
That is not a flex.
How I see them. Oh well, I couldn't have a baby with her, but I tell you who did.
Here you go.
Like that's not a W for me in my book. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Yeah. But I don't really see that as a W. Oh yeah, God vindicated me. Really? Oh, that's what he did there, huh?
Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, "What good fortune." So she named him Gad. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. Then Leah said, "How happy I am. The women will call me happy." So she named him Asher. During wheat harvest, Reuben went out into the fields and found some mandrake plants, which he brought to his mother Leah. Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." Hold on. Okay, hold on.
That must have been some good fruit. So we got Eve selling out the whole world for some fruit. And now here again, we got her selling her husband for some fruit. What was that fruit back in them days? Must have been something different. It just hit different, huh?
Yeah. This is crazy. Now, let's go back to about verse 3. It says, "Each of the three great patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, had wives who had difficulty conceiving children. It is interesting to note how each man reacted to his wife's predicament. Abraham had relations with Sarah's maidservant in order to have his own child, thus introducing bitterness and jealousy into his family. Isaac, by contrast, prayed to God when his wife was barren. God eventually answered his prayers, and Rebekah had two twin sons. Jacob, however, followed in his grandfather's footsteps and had children by his wives' maidservants, leading to sad and sometimes bitter consequences." Rachel and Leah were basically competing for Jacob's love and Jacob's attention. So it's sort of kind of like, yo, you have a kid, I have a kid, you have a kid, I have a kid. Like, who does that? But anyway, in their race to have more children, they both gave their maidservants to Jacob as concubines. Jacob would have been wise to refuse.
Yeah.
Even though this was an accepted custom of the day. The fact that a custom is socially acceptable does not mean it is wise or right.
I think though, like, again, even if he had to refuse, like, they wasn't gonna let up. Rachel wasn't finna just be like, okay, well, he refused, then that's the end of it. No, she was going. What if? First of all, if her daddy got him drunk and sent her sister in there to sleep with him, I'm sure she wouldn't have had any quarrel doing the same thing.
I just found it very, very interesting that it says the fact that a custom is socially acceptable does not mean it is wise or right. So Jacob, by all right, could have refused to accept the concubines from Rachel and Leah, but he accepted them, and he knew that they was that they was doing this thing back and forth with each other, and all he did was play into it on both sides. All right. Of course, we already said history repeated itself. And further down God answered Rachel's prayers and gave her a child of her own. In the meantime, however, she had given her maidservant to Jacob. Trusting God when nothing seems to happen is difficult. Trusting God when it seems like nothing is happening is difficult. I done been there. I don't know about y'all, but I've been there. But it is harder still to live with the consequences of taking matters into our own hands. Resist the temptation to think God has forgotten you. Have patience and courage to wait on God to act. Okay, so question time. You got a question? Okay, question time. Now, when it came down to Leah and Rachel, how do you think Jacob, okay, let me think about this question because it's in my head, but I got to get it out. When it came down to Rachel and Leah and what Jacob did for Leah and what he did for Rachel twice, because he didn't do nothing for Leah. He did it for Rachel twice. Do you think that he felt some sort of way that his wife could not bear him children?
I don't think he. You do?
She says yes. What do you think, Takara? You think that he felt some sort of way?
Question confused because I know Leah was his wife first, so that's why I'm like, no, because he didn't even care for Leah. But are you talking about Rachel?
Right. So he served for 14 years for Rachel, and we know that the custom is that the wife gives, like the wife is supposed to bear a son. That's what they get their, whatever from, right? That the wife bears a son. He worked for 14 years for a woman that couldn't bear a child for him. But the one who he did not want, the one who was weak on the eyes, kept giving him son after son after son. She ain't even pop out no girls. She was popping out all boys. Like, take that.
So then, do y'all think that this shifted how he felt about Rachel? That he worked, like you said, 14 years for something, and now it ain't panning out, or it ain't as good as what I thought it was gonna be. But his thing, remember, he was infatuated with Rachel to the point where when he seen her, it was like, I'm in love. I work as long as I got to, basically, at this point, to make sure I got this one. So do y'all think that changed?
I do. I feel like you work that long. It's sort of kind of like working a job for 20 years and then finding out that you don't have a retirement. You know what I'm saying? That was your whole purpose for working a job. You worked a job for 20 years to get your retirement, and then you worked the job and now you can't get the retirement. I'm going to feel some sort of way,
And see, I understand that, but then when I read and it talks about Leah having to basically bribe Rachel, using her son's fruit to be able to get time with him, it still says to me that he's not entertaining Leah really much at all. The bulk of his time is spent with Rachel.
Yeah, I'm coming to you, Miss Woodridge, because in verse 15 it definitely said, but she said to her, wasn't it enough that you took away my husband? Will you take away my son's mandrakes too? Very well, Rachel said. He can sleep with you tonight in return for your son's mandrakes. Oh, I'm sorry. In return for your son's mandrakes. So when Jacob came in from the fields that evening, Leah went out to meet him. You must sleep with me, she said. I have hired you with my son's mandrakes. So he slept with her that night. Yo, like,
they just bothering their husband back and forth.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. But go ahead, Miss Woodridge. I come back to that. Go ahead, Miss Woodridge.
But by this time, Rachel did have kids.
Mm-hmm.
So
her maidservant.
Huh?
Her maidservant had kids.
Remember?
Right, but it doesn't matter. That was Rachel's child.
Right.
So by this time, Rachel did have children. But again, when we look at customs from that time, if a wife didn't give her husband children, I mean, she wasn't looked on in a good way, no matter, I mean, even with Abraham and Sarai, right? Abram and Sarai, he didn't leave her or walk off because she couldn't have children with him, but he still, if he had been okay with the situation, he wouldn't have even gone to God and been like, I mean,
exactly.
I have my house is full, but you haven't even blessed me with not one seed, and everything that I own now belongs to my heirs, my servants. So it was customary for a man to be very proud if his wife gave him sons. So I think there probably was an issue that she couldn't bear children, but that's why her maid servant stepped in to do the job that she couldn't.
I mean, but still, even in that, you still have the issue of the people looking at you in a certain manner because they didn't see you pregnant not one day when you popped up with this baby. So even if you hid the maid servant all this time during the pregnancy, they still know that, hey, this isn't your actual baby. Mm-hmm. You still haven't bore him children. You still haven't fulfilled what your marital obligations were or whatever at this time in that time frame. And so it's still, like you said, it's still the fact, it's still a shameful situation to both her and him.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It was a disappointment and a shame when a woman couldn't bear you children, but definitely if she could not bear you sons.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is a good place for us to pause and, stop for a second, but or stop until next week. But I definitely want to touch on the fact that as a woman, I can only imagine how Leah felt, right? Like, I just want some mandrakes, right? I just want some fruit. I just want some fruit. And so my sister has to basically, I guess you want to say, is it bribing? You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
and like, okay,
she basically she hired him. I have your services for the night, sir. Like, and the killing thing was he didn't even have say so in it.
But this is the thing. Why was that even a situation? Like, can you imagine living a life where you're married to someone where they don't really even, like, he didn't even want her, and she knew from the beginning that he didn't want her. But at the end of the day, it's like, my sister I gotta pay to have sex with my husband.
So the reality of it is, her father did her more of a disservice than he did
definitely
her anything.
He definitely did.
Because you sold her, you basically gave her to a man or forced her upon a man that
he was never going to treat her right.
He was never going to treat her how the Bible says a husband is supposed to treat his wife. It was never going to be in his makeup to do that because she wasn't what he was even there for or working for in the first place.
That just hurt my little heart.
He got a bait and switch.
He definitely got a bait and switch.
He got a bait and switch.
That definitely hurt my little heart. Poor little Leah.
He went shark fishing and wound up with a piranha.
But it's another situation of just because people do, he's so silly. Just because people do you wrong does not justify your actions beyond that. Because even though she was with Jacob and Jacob did not really love her, she bore him children, but then she got into this war with her sister. You know what I'm saying? Like, causing bitterness between them.
And not only that,
Daddy set her up for failure. He definitely set her up for failure.
Not only that, remember, Jacob knew of God at this point.
Yeah.
He had met God in between, you know what I'm saying? Like you say, where he said, I'm going to make this place, you know what I'm saying, a monument to you. I'm going to come back to this place and all these things. He said on the way to Laban's palace or Laban's area, he had already had an encounter with God. So you have knowledge of what it is that you're supposed to be doing and how it is that you're supposed to be treating your wife. So he was just as guilty as, you know what I'm saying, as she was.
So here we are. This is what, week 7, you said, right? Week 7. Yeah. So here we are at the end of week 7. We are learning that, first of all, the women are 0 for 3 in Genesis. That not only Eve, but Sarai and Rebecca have led folks astray. And
I'm Jacob's wives count as 4 and 5? No.
Wow. No. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Miss Woodridge. He just, wow.
Now, I'm not saying because see, we can't say this y'all can't say this 0 for 3 because Jacob just as shiesty as you know what I'm saying. Anybody else has been in the Bible to this point.
I'm just saying that we 0 for 3.
Yeah. Now the women
with the big stuff.
The women done definitely been sending some marks off left and right. You know what I'm saying? We definitely took a lot of L's for y'all and y'all ease of influence. Let's just say that.
I'm gonna give more grace now. Go ahead, Ms. Woodridge.
Well, Jacob's name is supplanter, period. So we already know that from birth he was a trickster, deceiver. Mm-hmm. So that's number one.
I think that's terrible.
To be honest, Jacob literally got what he had been given out all this time. Mm-hmm. So it was like his karma for his uncle to trick him into taking a wife that he didn't even want. But in that respect, he did a very honorable thing because back then, men did not divorce their wives just because they don't want them. If you marry them, again, this goes back to keeping your word, right? If they made a vow, they said we're going to do this. It was word is bond. So it wasn't like, even though he didn't love Leah, he made a vow to take Leah.
Right. Well, and the thing was,
and wait a minute, he didn't necessarily make a vow to take Leah with his mouth, but when he met Leah, he made a vow to Leah. And so he had to keep Leah.
That's what I was going to say. Once he consummated that marriage, he was obligated at that point to keep Leah as his wife. He had no choice. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? And look, imagine God. He at that point, I'm sure she started having kids. Seemed like almost right away. So, this is your wife.
Well, but it's we 0 for 3 for the women. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna give.
What do y'all think about that?
I ain't gonna say Leah and Rachel. You know what I'm saying? Our 4 and 5, not yet.
What about the whole thing? Like how we saying Jacob's name? You know what I'm saying? Even though as an infant he did not know what he was doing and grabbing his brother's heel and
we knew his mama
or anything like that.
We found out his mom was stupid.
Just think about that. So it's like one of those situations like where they say what you call a child or what you speak over a child on a regular basis.
Period.
You know what I'm saying? Will often be what it is you get out of that child and what that child, you know what I'm saying, actually becomes.
Absolutely.
Imagine had they actually named him something different or, you know what I'm saying, named him some completely opposite of something trickster, like would he still be in this predicament?
I think I'm going to go down to Vital Records and change my name to Millionaire.
Oh, okay.
Millionaire Marshall.
I'm not calling you that, but.
Yes, call me by my name.
Yeah, nah.
I'm Millionaire Marshall.
I'm not.
Come on, Takara.
I'm not introducing nobody like, hey, yeah, this is my wife, Millionaire. Like, what? Huh?
I'm like, is it bad now since finding this out? Like, when I talk to people, like, even like my family now, when I go back, I have been going back and looking up their names.
Takara over here looking up folks' names.
I think even moving forward, when I meet people, I'll probably go look up their names. Like, let's see what the name. Let me see what this name means. Because now, due to this, because it's also, excuse my background now. I'm missing my other things, but I was not missing Bible study.
Well, praise the Lord.
But yeah, it have really led me to now start to look up people's names, and when I don't understand the words, like I go deeper, like let me see what this word means, and it's still been describing those individuals.
So let me say, I would say I wouldn't hold anything against the person because of what their name is. But I would pay attention. It's good that you look up you do the legwork to look up what does this person's name may be, and then go on to take the extra step to check out their character and see if their character actually matches what it is their name means, especially with someone who you may consider dating or entertaining or anything of that nature. Yeah, I'm not finna just. That's definitely something you should look up.
That's your biblical research.
Definitely.
That's your biblical research. You take their name and you go look up the meaning of their name, and the day and age that we lived in now, the same God that's now is the same God that was back then, right? You know what I'm saying? And I think that even though a lot of things have changed, I still believe in whatever you call a person, that, you know what I'm saying, you can either call into that character or you're actually calling out that character. You get what I'm saying? So if you have a child in your womb and you're about to name them something, you know, you're calling that character into them. Like you're planting that seed, that character seed into them, right? But then a lot of times people are born and later on we give them nicknames, right? And now we're calling out that character because it's something that they already possess. A lot of times we call people these nicknames because they possess this characteristic that draws us to this nickname. Like, I don't understand what a June bug look like.
So now I have
I don't understand, but every family got a June bug.
So now, especially if you're a knowledgeable individual or an educated person in the Bible, there is no circumstance where I'm going to name my son Jacob. There just isn't. But there are a lot of Jacobs from people who are well-versed Bible scholars. And I'm confused, like, why would you still choose to name your son that at this point?
Because some people are naming their child not because of the characteristic of him being a deceiver, but the characteristic of him receiving a blessing and that God still blessed him. And on top of that, Jacob, because of Jacob's servanthood to Laban and Laban deceiving him, Laban still received favor in this thing. You get what I'm saying?
You're skipping ahead, but we're gonna go with that. But in the same breath, though, God changed his name when he established the covenant with him and talked about his favor. He didn't continue. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want that label attached to him anymore. It didn't say man changed his name, brother changed his name. It said God said, "This is no longer your name. Your new name is."
What's his new name?
Anybody?
What's his new name?
Not Tanya Woodridge.
Right,
Anybody
right.
but Tanya Woodridge.
Takara, what's his new name? I know we skipping ahead. What's his new name?
That's what's up.
So
my question is, like, if I hear this, you know, why we can't change our name? We be like, God said my name is, so call me.
Who says you can't?
I was just gonna say we can.
Who says you can't?
I'm gonna keep it 100.
It's gonna cost you some money to go down to Vital Records and change your name.
I don't.
But I know adults that have legit changed their name because they didn't like the name their parents named them.
At this point, once I found out what my name meant, if I felt my name meant something that was not, you know what I'm saying, my character or whatever, if it was something negative, I would 100% go change my name.
Well, wait a minute, because your name is my son's name.
And he would just be out here. I would change his name too. Because the thing
You're welcome, Kia. Thank you.
I'm definitely, I'm very big on, you know what I'm saying? Like you say, if my name means something, you know what I'm saying, and it's something negative or something that I don't want attached to me, I wouldn't think twice about changing my name at this point.
Listen, all I'm saying is, and I do understand why some people that, I told y'all I'm an analytical thinker, so I think a little bit deeper. But what if people name their son Jacob, right? Mm-hmm. Because in the beginning, like they are ignorant to, kids are ignorant and naive to the world, right?
About that. I'm talking about people. I'm talking about the parents.
Right.
I'm saying know the story of Jacob.
I 100% get, but I bet you some of them ain't naming their child Jacob in the, okay, let me rephrase this. Once they become scholars in the Bible, mm-hmm. they've probably already had their children and named them. They just don't go back and change their names.
I mean, I don't have any, people name their children whatever they choose.
So why you can't call me millionaire?
What I'm saying is, knowing the information, you know what I'm saying, that I have, I just couldn't see myself naming my son something that means anything, you know what I'm saying, that's going to even run the risk of him acting out this character or whatever the case may be.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I named Bryson. I named him Bryson. Antoine did not want the name Bryson. He was like, no, what'd you say? That name was Square?
No, I don't even use words. I think you're thinking of your daddy or somebody.
Boy, bad. Get up out of here.
That's a word people 50 and up say. She said square.
Look at your mama laughing.
Square.
Yes, Miss Woodridge. You got to unmute yourself. It ain't unmute you. Okay, there you go.
I agree with Antoine. Like even now with me, had I known the how names reflect a lot of times your actions growing up and coming up, I think I would have definitely went with maybe Samuel. I would have been like my brothers are named, their names were very Rachel, David, and Samuel's names they have biblical names for a reason. And interestingly enough, I'm not so much with Rachel, but David and Samuel are the epitome of what their names were biblically. They're just like the characters from the Bible. Their personalities are exactly like the characters they were named for. So I think I would have definitely, I probably would have had like a Judah and a Benjamin.
Like, oh, Jesus.
Oh,
for real.
A Judah and a Benjamin.
I don't know if I would have
Judah,
talked to you.
a Benjamin, and maybe a Samuel.
Yeah, I would have changed
Judah,
my name.
Benjamin, and Samuel.
I would have changed my name at 18.
Maybe you would have been Naphtali.
Been Judah.
Naphtali.
Definitely was changing my name from that.
Why?
Antoine would have been Judah.
I would have known anything.
Antoine would have been Judah.
Antoine would have been Judah. Anthony would have been Benjamin.
Ali, she said Anthony would have been Benjamin.
Right. And El is so much like Samuel. His personality is so much like Samuel. He is and always has been.
Well, at least we didn't wind up with no Sauls. My bad. I'm skipping ahead.
I'm done.
You've still been pursuing your brother, bro.
I'm skipping ahead. My bad.
I'm so done. Well, thank you all for joining us for week 7 of Bible study. This has been another amazing discussion on Bible study. We have been in Genesis for 7 weeks, but every week it's a great discussion. Every week it is.
We was gonna be out of this.
Out
of Genesis this
week.
And
you know what I'm saying? Like it was like
I done read ahead, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna be finished this week. But no, this has definitely been fun. I hope you guys are enjoying the reading. And it's been a blessing to you. I know Takaro has been telling us for probably the last 4 or 5 weeks in a row that every time we go over something, they talk about the exact same
at
thing
church
when she get to church on Sunday. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I was at the auto show with my cousin. And I was like, what time are we gonna be done? Because I got Bible study at 6:30. She's like, you can miss one day. I'm like, no, I can't. Y'all, I took my Bible study stuff to the auto show with me, and I told her if Bible study starts, I will be sitting out.
That's what
I absolutely love it.
But you know
I love the dedication.
It's not even just that. We love it. God loves it. And it's not about, never believe, this has nothing to do with us at all. But when God sees you eager to, dive into His Word and then making commitments, like Absolutely. You said, like that, like one of the things I know we were talking about a few weeks ago was our anniversary, and we was just like, we just gonna.
We're gonna do a recorded training,
and we're gonna have to do. First, we was like, well, maybe we could record it. We
get somebody else to come in and teach.
I'm like, it's too early for that. I'm like, we got to be on. I'm like, I ain't trying to hear that.
And on our anniversary, it was right here on live with y'all.
It is, it is what it is. But, and like I said, we enjoy, having these talks, these discussions with you all. Just getting other points of views, other information, how other people are seeing this stuff and things of that nature. I love it. I hope you guys are having as much fun as we are. This has definitely been dope. I love your commitment.
Yes.
God sees that commitment. And I guarantee you, if you keep that commitment, you will begin to see things shift left and right in your life. I promise you, I've never not had commitment or given God commitment to something and not seeing reward for my commitment.
Absolutely. Yes, Miss Woodridge.
And I'll say, Takara, this is how you start to form a relationship with God. Like people have been in church for years
and
have not established a relationship because they never picked up the book to find out who God is. Your you can only have a strong relationship with somebody that you really find out about that person. Like, you don't go into a marriage or anything else, or even not even a business contract or deal without finding out who you're joining your life together with. This is the only way that you form a relationship with God. And the more you read and find out about him, the stronger your relationship becomes.
That's real. That's real.
We look, we don't go to restaurants nowadays without looking up the menu before we get there to make sure it's going to be something there that we can become familiar with. All right, well, I know I ain't finna go here and be disappointed when I leave. I'm going to be able to at least try this out.
And that be you and Rochelle. Oh my gosh.
It's the same thing, with God. Like, you have to make that commitment. You have to take that serious. And I think, like I said, it's really dope. Like you said, most people ain't finna be like, oh, I'm finna be at the auto show, but if Bible study's still on today, I'm gonna have to hop off, you know what I'm saying, for a minute.
Right.
Like, so it's amazing that that's the mentality.
I even have my Bible. My Bible is heavy. My cousin like, how you feeling? My back hurts.
I'm proud of you, girl. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Driving the cars with my bag, with my Bible on.
I am.
That's case too loud.
I am so proud of you, and I want to take this moment to shout Takara out, because Takara we started our relationship, and she would randomly call me and she'd be asking me questions. If I post them on social media, she'd slide in my DMs and she asked questions. I absolutely adore and honor you because you didn't start here at the Bible study. You were asking questions well before we ever got to the Bible study. You wanted to become a better individual for yourself. And then you like, listen, I don't think I handled this right. You know what I'm saying? How can I handle this better? And you was waiting on this Bible study. You was like, oh, yep, there's my cue. So I definitely love that. I love it.
That's dope. That, a lot of times, a lot of us don't do that. That self-inventory, you know what I'm saying? Take the time to be like, you know what? A lot of us feel like we perfect. I don't know why, but a lot of us feel like, hey, I'm I'm killing it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, instead of really standing back, taking a few steps back to say, you know what? Even if I'm doing this or that right, I'm sure there's some things I could be working on to improve myself, to empower myself, not just for me, but for my family, for my children. You know what I'm saying? How can I improve on what it is I'm supposed to be doing? And so I think that's amazing. I think that's dope that you're doing that. I love it. And man, I can't wait to see your growth from it.
And you guys, make sure you share this video, like it, tag us, you know what I'm saying? Invite your family and friends. We are here every Monday night at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are on Zoom and we stream live on Instagram and Facebook. So definitely join us in one of these ways and get in on the conversation. However, if you want to be able to be interactive or more interactive in the conversation, definitely click the link. I don't think I pinned the link, but you can go text Bible study to 630-454-9703, and you'll get the information on how you can actually join us on Zoom, and we can see your face or not. You ain't got to come on camera, but it'll allow you to come off mute and you can ask questions and all of that and get real-time answers and have real-time conversations. So, yeah.
All right. Lord, we bless you. We honor you. We thank you for this amazing time of fellowship, this opportunity, oh God, to be in your word, to dive in, to take it, oh God, into our bodies, oh God, and learn to apply and use it in our daily functions and throughout everything that we encounter and everything that we would go over. Lord, we pray that you hold back the hands of the enemy, oh God, that no backlash or bitter retaliation would be taken against us, oh God, or our family or our loved ones, oh God. Let your grace and mercy go before us, oh God. We ask that as we continue to dive into your word, oh God, you continue to open up new doors, new mindset, new things that, oh God, we, oh God, would grasp a greater understanding, not just of the things of the Bible, but of you, oh God, that we would learn you, develop our relationship with you, and that you would teach us your ways, that we may be, oh God, something, oh God, encouraging or something, oh God, uplifting to someone else who may not ever open a Bible, or may not ever see a Bible, Lord. So we ask that you would allow us to continue to be great examples of your word, oh God. And Lord, allow us to do the right thing, oh God, in the face of doing, oh God, easily what is wrong. So we thank you, oh God. We honor you, oh God. We ask that you continue to bless us, bless our homes, oh God. Bless our families, bless our finances, oh God. Give us great wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, oh God. Allow us to do all these things in your son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. See y'all next Monday. See y'all next Monday.